your life can be anything. It has so much potential. Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome back. My life, unsurprisingly, is kind of a mess, and unfortunately, I believe that's pretty common these days. But even trying to figure out where to start, you may as well have asked me to do a backflip and speak Finnish. So, I turned to research and good old-fashioned brain magic. Something I think we're all fairly familiar with by now are vision boards. If you're not, it's basically one space to put images of whatever you want. Usually it's things you desire, goals, or how you want your life to be. So you may have photos of your dream house, or going to the gym. It's supposed to reinforce these images with repetition in your brain, and then will help you subconsciously or consciously start to make decisions to lead you to those goals. Some people believe it also works on the manifestation principle. I don't know about that, but I do know my monkey brain needs to be constantly reminded of things and have a visual for an end goal. So I printed out a bunch of photos and went to work. It can't hurt to try, right? As usual, I bit off a lot more than I or my poor corkboard could chew. But I made it work. Sort of. That should really be the constant running subtitle of this series, to be honest. Hey y'all, how's it going? It's Chey. I'm back with the second video in this series that I promised, where I'm going to be going over the goals that I hope to work on in this series and my vision board, which is going to help guide me through some of those goals, help me visualize it, and hopefully help in aiding me in accomplishing these things. So without further ado, let's get on into it. First of all, let's start with this giant section over here, the biggest section. This is what I like to refer to as sort of my lifestyle habits or skills that I want to work on. So we have drumming. My mom has been brainwashing me ever since I was a young child that I should be a drummer, that I keep time really well, I keep rhythm really well, I can count to 4, so I'm already set up to be one of the greats, I think. But it's definitely something that I want to try out. I'm looking into getting a kit, and I just think it would be a lot of fun. Related to that is skateboarding. I used to skateboard when I was little, not a lot and not all the time, but I did some skateboarding when I was younger, and since I live out in the country, I don't really have a good place to go do that, and one of the goals is moving out in this series. I would hope to have a place where I can do more skateboarding, at least, paved streets, sidewalks, stuff like that. So it's something that I want to pick back up, and I did recently get a skateboard for my birthday, so we're working on that already. Meditation. I ain't a yoga girl, but I do want to try meditating. With my concentration focus issues, it's really hard, but it's something that I've been working on for the past at least a year, just doing 2 to 3 minutes at a time, and I still really struggle with it, but it's something that I don't want to give up on, because when it does work, it really works, and it really helps me, I think, for the rest of the day. So it's something I definitely want to continue doing and getting better at. Languages. The good old Duolingo bird that is our beloved friend and also our possible worst nemesis and the harbinger of our destruction. I love languages. I've been told that I have a knack for languages. I don't know how true that is, but I think I'm really good with sounds, and I love learning Spanish when I was in high school. I've actually retained a decent amount of it, but there's so many more languages that I want to pick up on, not to be fluent necessarily, but I hope to travel a lot more in the future if that's possible, and wherever I go, I would like to speak enough of the language to get around myself and not have to depend on a translator or a book the entire time. Like, if I go to Japan, I would want to be able to navigate the subway system, mostly by myself. I want to be able to, order food and be polite and just show that I am making an effort. Also, not to mention, my boyfriend is Croatian, and I want to be able to speak Croatian with his family and his friends. I'm pretty far ways from that, and one of my goals this year that I'll go over in my bullet journal is to be able to hold a conversation fluently in Croatian. I can barely remember hello and what's up so far, but we're only 6 months into the year, and who's really counting anyway? Definitely getting better at languages. I am 130 something days into my streak on Duolingo, so doing pretty good, but need to keep up and at it. This actually relates to one of my next habits that I want to continue doing, which is journaling. I love writing. I write all the time. it's actually probably a problem, but oh well. I used to be terrible with journaling. I would journal maybe once every 6 months because I always felt like I was supposed to be giving like a class report on what was happening in my life. Since then, I've gotten a lot better, and one of my goals is to at least journal 3 times a week, even if it's just a few sentences. I'm not quite there yet, but I am doing it more often, and I'm a lot more relaxed about it. I'm enjoying it a lot more. That relates to the language because something I want to do is start keeping a language journal. Just after I finish my lessons or I learn a new phrase or whatever, just jot it down in the journal for repetition, for actual usage. I would like to start doing some like anime journaling, media journaling. I already do some media journaling for my reading and for albums that I listen to, but once I get a printer and I'd be able to print off all the stickers and little pretty pictures I want, I'd love to start doing some anime journaling, other media journaling. Sketching. I want to be able to sketch decently well. As I said, I'm a writer, and that's something that I don't really think I need to force myself to do more of, because as I said, I do it a lot already, but it's just a habit that I want to keep building on. I want to get better at my writing. I constantly want to improve on my writing. Even if it's never going to see the light of day, I write a lot of fiction for myself. Drawing sort of enters into that, because what I would like to do is be able to make fan art that I see inside my head of all the different things that I love, and also I would love to make like preliminary sketches of the scenes of my writing. As I see a scene in my head, I sort of write it, and I realized this recently, I sort of write how I picture camera angles would film the scene, and so if I could just decently sketch, just enough for me to get an idea and really just flat out put what I see in my head onto paper, I think it could help improve my writing, and the writing could help improve my sketching, because really in my head, the way that I write, as I said, I really think they feed into each other. Taekwondo. I'm a second-degree black belt, by all rights, third degree.
Don't ask.
I was terrible at drinking water. I used to literally never drink water. And then I told myself, Chey, you should really drink more water, not only to help your skin, but just to also help your body and generally be a healthy human person. One of the last trips we took with Blackbird was a trip to Third Man Records, which, if you don't know, is Jack White's record label. And they had a Pantone water bottle there that was just the colors of Third Man Records, so yellow and white, and I was like, oh, that's actually kind of sick. And I thought to myself, I said, if I buy that, I'm just gonna drink water out of it. I'm gonna use it to incentivize myself to drink more water just using this water bottle. And I full-on Obi-Wan Kenobi'd myself into a healthier habit. Because it worked. It sounds stupid, but it worked. The bottle holds 22 ounces of water, and though I don't drink it every day, I do drink it most days, at least one bottle full. And again, that's only 22 ounces, but it's a lot better than none, which is what I used to do. Sudoku. Plain and simple, I love Sudoku. My brain finds it really relaxing. My little monkey gremlin lizard brain loves the numbers and the patterns. I love patterns, man. Not like in a plaid sort of sense. I mean, I just love all the little puzzle pieces. My brain loves seeking out patterns and fixing them and finding out what makes them tick and what goes in where. So just a little habit that I try to work into my daily routine. I've really fallen off of it lately, so I need to get back onto it. This is more of a lifestyle sort of thing. These two actually kind of go hand in hand with that, and these sort of cover what I want my life to be like after I move out. Some of this I can't really do right now just because of my circumstances of living at home and not having a job. What do I want my living circumstances to be like? What I want my lifestyle to sort of be like? Career goals. So if you don't know, I am a studio engineer. I graduated from the Blackbird Studio Academy for studio engineering, and I want to be an engineer. I want to be a lot of things, but I want to continue being a studio engineer. So working in a studio, working at a board. Hopefully the goal is to open up my own non-profit studio one day, like a community studio, and have people just be able to come in and record whatever they want and not charge them a fortune for it. But really working at any studio, getting to work with artists, getting to record is just the dream. So then we just have the typical, like, I need to hang out with friends more and get out of the house. I need to go do things. I want to be able to buy myself flowers every week. Because even though I'm a huge metalhead and I love dark and scary things, I friggin' love flowers, man. I have sunflowers growing out in my backyard right now. There's nothing better than a good sunflower and a good red geranium. So I want to buy myself flowers every week. Candles. I've recently gotten into candles. I have hoarded a lot of them over the years as Christmas gifts and holiday gifts alike, and I feel like I need to start using them because they're taking up too much space, but also they smell nice. Reading more. I sort of fell off of reading during my university years, and I think a lot of people do in their high school and like secondary education, because you're sort of forced to read what they tell you to read. And I think that kills the love of reading in a lot of people, is being forced to read and then report on it rather than what they want to read and what interests them. But luckily for me, I have gone full force back into reading and I haven't regretted it. I have started rereading so many of my old favorite books, and I'm looking up at my shelves right now, and you've probably seen a few of my book videos by now, but it's just something that I want to keep going. I want to explore more genres. I want to start cracking down on my TBR list that I've had for years. I want to start exploring more authors, especially more classics, that way I can have thoughts on them. That's a bigger theme for me, is a lot of times I just want to experience something just to be able to say, like, yes, I did this, or yes, I saw this, and here's my opinion on it. Not in a bragging sort of way, I just want to be able to have like an informed opinion and informed thoughts on it and be able to discuss it with other people. If you can't tell, I love talking. I love talking to other people about stuff. And reading things like this, doing things, gives me more things to talk about things with more people with. And of course, then we have YouTube. I want to do YouTube more. I have so many ideas for videos that I can't wait to film. I hope a lot of them come to fruition. Some of them won't for a while just because of my situation, financial situation, but I hope to get to them one day, and I'm really just happy what I'm doing right now, making what I can, when I can, how I can. I know it's not the highest budget stuff. I don't care. I'm having fun and I love doing this. And then over here, pretty simple. We just have the aesthetics of what I want my apartment or my house, my space to look like. All the music stuff, a lot of manga and anime, records upon records. Again, I'd love to have a home studio, community nonprofit studio, so having a board, having a studio in my house eventually would be ideal. I know I couldn't have it in a rental or a lease, but hopefully one day, if I own my own place, that will become a reality. As for the rest of this, you know, the dark academia sort of setup, all the records and neon and all that, I can pretty much do anywhere. This is just sort of the aesthetic that I'll probably have in my place, which is headphones on, listening to music constantly. Actually, my favorite picture of me from childhood looks a lot like this, and it explains a lot about me. I'm sitting on a couch with my headphones that I still have, and a Walkman, and I am just listening to music because I listen to that Walkman probably 24/7, and the batteries would run out and I just replace them and keep listening to music. It was pretty obvious from an early age that I was gonna work somehow in music, and that's what I think I love most about the picture, is that I can sort of see the future in my past and say, oh yeah, that should have been obvious. Over here to the experiences category, we have crocodiles and sharks, oh my, and then just a book market. This sort of goes with my Why Not series, but I think it ties in here too, of just trying to get out more. I love sharks, man. I love gators. I love crocodiles. I want to go swimming with sharks. I think it would be so sick. I love them. Look at that face. Just look at it. I love gators and crocodiles. I would love to pet them. I'd love to see them and just be around them. I think they are just so cool. So anything having to do with those animals, or just animals in general, let's go. Overall, it's just sort of representative of I want to get out and do more things that people might find crazy. But I don't, because they just look fun to me. This is my aesthetics side. I already pretty much embody this, which I'm pretty proud of, but it's just sort of the grunge punk aesthetic. Black lipstick, dark lipstick is something that I really want to start wearing, just because I think it looks so cool. Down here we have my tattoo inspiration. I want tattoos so badly. If you've seen any of my videos on this channel, you've probably heard me talk about I want Trigun tattoos. So I have red geraniums here to sort of represent that, and then I have shark tattoos and Nier tattoos. Nier is my favorite video game of all time, favorite video game series, but just in general, representing how I want body art. This one's pretty simple, I'm not going to go too in-depth to this, but as I mentioned in the intro video, one of my main goals is working on a healthier relationship with my body, with fitness, with food, so this just represents that. Body acceptance, body positivity. I'm a more curvy girl, and I went to an Eastern European country once, which will remain nameless for now, and I was told that I have very good hips. to say the least. I'm a curvy girl. I'm not small, and so it's been really rough for me. So I've been trying to really accept my body and love it the way it is, what it's been given to me, how lucky I am to have a body like this, how lucky I am to have a body that works like this, what I have been given. I'm just really working on appreciating that and honoring it, rather than trying to belittle it or turn it into something that it's not. This may explain a lot about me, or absolutely nothing. Two of my dream animated men are Vegeta and Vash. If you know anything about these two characters, you will say, Chey, isn't that an inherent contradiction? These two guys are nothing alike. I know that. Do I care? No. And then on this side, we just have some quotes, which says, be the reason someone feels welcome, seen, heard, valued, loved, and supported. There are people less qualified than you doing the things you want to do simply because they chose to believe in themselves. And then I'm a recovering perfectionist and an aspiring good enoughness. Now I know you might be asking, what does Vegeta and what does Vash have to do with these quotes? Something I'm working on a lot, and as I've mentioned before, I am a recovering perfectionist. I'm really trying to embrace imperfection while also working to improve myself, not to be perfect, but just to be better. And that is where Vash and Vegeta come in. Vegeta sort of embodies how I want to become more confident in myself, not in an arrogant, super prideful, Saiyan pride sort of way. But in general, I don't really have much self-confidence to begin with. So any amount of being able to embody a fraction of what he has, I think will be an improvement to my situation. And as for Vash, he is just the kindest, sweetest soul to have ever existed. And particularly with him, I want to work on being more purposefully kind. I try to be as kind as I can anyway, as I think everyone should, in acting with grace and with empathy. But being purposefully kind, I think, can look different. Just being more cognizant about it. You know, complimenting people, reaching out to friends you haven't talked to in a while, like saying hello, actually checking up on them and meaning it. Doing little things with kindness in mind, like going ahead and washing the dishes for your parents so that they don't have to ask you to do it. Carrying in the groceries without being asked. Just little kind things that may not seem to make a huge difference, but they do add up. And the way this world is, every little bit of kindness that we can get, we need. And if you know these characters, I think you'll see where I'm going with this once I explain it, but something that they both have that I want to embody even more is just determination. These are two of the most stubborn, most determined characters I have ever seen. And with my ADHD, I don't know, I shouldn't blame totally my ADHD, but a problem I have with my focus is if something's not going right or something's not going the way I planned, it's not that I just totally give up on it, but my focus sort of shifts into something that I can make progress on. So if I get stuck on a certain level in a game, I'm like, oh crap, I'll come back to this later. Let me go do something that I know I can get done. And I want to be able to take sort of more of that drive and determination and just stick with something. Just be able to say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to see this through. Because whenever I have done that in my life, it's turned out great, but I need to make that more of a habit, more of just a natural instinct. As for the final part, I'm just going to run through my 2022 goals in my bullet journal. So we have 10 good push-ups. I have a lot of core strength, but I've never really been able to do a good push-up. So I think 10 is a decent number to start out with, especially over the course of a year. I'm doing pretty good on that end. I can do 4 pretty good ones so far. Then we have finish 50 books. Sort of goes along with my reading goal up here. Currently so far I am 33 books into that goal. I'm reading 2 more right now. Definitely accomplishable by the end of this year. Publish 5 YouTube videos. I'm already almost there. So doing good on that. Watch 12 more movies. One of the goals that I did last year that I really enjoyed was watching a new movie every month, and it doesn't have to be a brand new movie, just a movie that's new to me, and one a month is really doable. I ended up watching way more than I expected. I think I ended up watching about like 50, and so I'm just doing it again this year, and I've already surpassed it. I think I'm up to 30 movies already. Listen to 200 new albums. Yes, I am sort of insane. But to be a studio engineer, you kind of have to be. I am 164 albums in to my goal of 200. I think it's safe to say I'm going to hit it this year. I may even shoot for 300. Get my wisdom teeth out. That happened. It sucked, but it happened. Get a real job. We're working on that. Be able to hold a basic conversation in Croatian. Write 50,000 words. Yeah, I blew that out of the water already this year. I think I'm up over 60,000, maybe over 70,000 already, so get that out of here. And finally, we have donate, sell, declutter 100 items, which I am happy to say I have already accomplished this year. That's going to be it for me. Those are all the goals that I'm planning on working on in this series. There's going to be more that come up and more that I think of. This is just a starting point, really, which is totally fine, just to get really an idea of what's going to happen in the series, what I'm going to strive toward, and what the journey is possibly going to look like. What I can't wait for is to be able to see how much of this stuff actually happens, or what becomes of it, what evolves and what changes. That's probably more of what I'm excited for, rather than just the end goal, is to see how it evolves and how it changes, because it will evolve and change. And again, that's sort of what this series is about going along with those changes and what happens when you're faced with them, and what happens when you have to improvise, adapt, overcome.